Welcome to our Park City Market Talk webinar. I'm Ron Wilstein, a broker at Keller Williams Luxury Properties.
And I'm Doug Olmstead. I'm the seller's consultant here on the Wilstein team, and we thank you very much for joining us today.
All right, we're here in April 2018, and that means seasons are changing in Park City, and we're getting ready for those changes. Of course, what's happened? The ski resorts are now closed, and in its place, Doug?
Well, I know I am, and I'm sure everybody else is. We're pulling out our bikes, our boats, and our hiking boots, the 3Bs.
Yep.
Fishing poles and getting ready for summer in Park City, which we love, with concerts and so much going on.
All right. One of the things I look forward to with mixed feelings is mountain biking. Sometimes it's really, really hard, but it's always rewarding. Two ways to get up the mountain. If you're my son Jeremy and Doug, you're riding straight up the hill, and then you're coming back down. And if you're me, you do that about 10% of the time, and then you're exhausted, and then you take the lifts the other 90% of the time up, and then you come down the trails.
At the end of the day, we're all chasing that single track. That's okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
It is. It is. Park City is great for its hiking and fishing and water sports. The Jordanelle is nearby. The concerts at Deer Valley, and you can ask pretty much any local. They came here because of the skiing or the snowboarding. They stay for the summers. Recently, we noticed on the internet that 15 main streets of America were identified as what you want to check out and the places you want to live. Sure enough, Park City showed up there.
Right there.
What sorts of things happen on Main Street, Doug?
Well, so much going on. 4th of July parade, Kimball Arts Festival, probably 100 restaurants, luxury, just beautiful restaurants up and down Main Street, art galleries, etc. I mean, there's never a lack of something to do on Main Street in Park City.
That's right. I was up there yesterday, and it's great. It's just a fun part of the town. Well, let's jump into our topics. We're going to start out with our market update and give you sales and stats and let you know what's happening in Park City.
Social media rules our life, and the Wilstein team is on top of that. We'll discuss that.
And then we want to talk about absorption rate and how it impacts the real estate market and property prices. So, without further ado, let's jump right into the Park City real estate market. Over the past 12 months, there's been 1,356 sales. That consists of homes, condominiums, and vacant land combined. That's all real estate brokerages combined, and that is down 27 sales or 2% from a year ago.
Now this graph, we break it down by sales by homes, condos, and lots. The red bars are April 2017 through March 2018, and the gray bars are the year prior. Home sales were up 1% from 543 sales to 546. Condos slightly down 6% from 668 down to 629 sales, and lots up 5% from 172 to 181 as inventory has been a little bit less and people have been choosing to build, so that has actually driven lot sales up a little bit.
That's right. Now let's look at homes in particular here. We've broken this down into Park City and the Snyderville Basin. Park City home sales are up by 7%, climbing to 172 from the previous 161, down slightly 2% in the Snyderville Basin, only 8 fewer sales, from 382 to 374 sales.
And if we look at condominiums in Park City limits, down 5% from 344 to 328. And in the Basin, down 7% also, 324 sales down to 301 sales.
And this graph here shows us land, vacant land, lots, home sites, if you will. In the city limits, up technically 25%. It's up 5 sales. We don't have that many lots in the city limits, but again, looking at the Park City and the Snyderville Basin being up, the people are buying the lots in order to build the homes that they don't have available right now to purchase. We'd like to look at time on the market because it's an indicator of positive things and sometimes negative things. On a positive note, the average time it takes to buy a home is 97 days to sell a home, and that is actually about 2 fewer days than a year ago. So those are the homes that sell. We want to show you this graph, and we've talked about it a little bit, but haven't illustrated with graphs in the past, but we're doing that now. This is average days on the market of active listings. So these are properties that are on the market, but they have not yet sold. And this is an interesting graph because it shows us that if you price properties correctly, they're going to sell in less than 100 days. And you can expect that. And if you overprice properties, then you may be waiting 6 months, and that doesn't mean it sells in 6 months. It means it went 6 months and hasn't yet sold. If that information wasn't bad enough for overpricing, let me show you this graph. What we did here is we said, okay, let's not just look at active listings, but let's look at the collective time a property has been on the market. In other words, if a property was previously listed and it's been relisted, whether it's by the same agent or another agent or team, we added the collective because that's a more accurate reflection of the true time on the market without selling. And you can see that 175 or 179 goes up to 283 days. That's huge. That is the danger of overpricing a property. We have a strong seller's market selling in less than 100 days, but not if you overprice. Then the buyers resist it too much. They're just not going to buy your property. So if you want to sell your property, don't do that. If you want to be on the market and not sell, you can do that. A lot of people seem to be doing that. Okay, now let's take a look at property prices. The good news is they continue to climb. We're looking here at home medium sold prices, again broken it down Park City and Snyderville Basin. In the city limits, it's risen by 3% year over year from $1,800,000 to $1,850,000. So I'd like to see those prices going up. A little stronger in the Snyderville Basin, climbing from $970,000, breaking that $1 million threshold to now $1,040,000, up 7%.
And similar story with condominiums. In Park City limits up 9% from a median sold price of $700 up to $765. And in Snyderville Basin up 4% from $475,000 up to $492,000.
And this graph here shows us lots. In the city limits up 15%, climbing from 702,500 all the way up to 805,000. Again, keep in mind 25 sales. Not a large sampling, but it is up, and people like that. In the Snyderville Basin, a little drop in prices from 475 to 450,000, statistically down 5%. Now let's turn our attention to social media, because we have really kind of grabbed the bull by his horns here. We all know that not a moment goes by that you're not in some way involved with or entangled with, however you see it. Your cell phones, your texting, your emails, you name it. And for this reason, we have made a solid commitment to bring social media to the Wilstein team, and more importantly, to our clients so they can get the benefit of it. By doing so, what we've done is we've incorporated into web design, we've incorporated into SEO, our email marketing, our social media marketing, how we reach people. The whole goal is to throw out a really, really big net. So it doesn't matter whether you're surfing on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, Google+, you're going to run into the properties that we're marketing because we want to make sure everybody knows about them. And if not, you're running into our webinars and our other pieces of information that we feel is important to get out there. This is just a little sample of our webinar we did at the beginning of the year and boosted it through Facebook, and we had 24,333 people reach there, which was huge just to get the word out. We expanded, of course, to our listed properties. They're most important that we get that news out. And this is just one example, and 224,000 people saw this listing. So we're doing everything we can to make sure that our properties are out there. People can spot them, they can call us up, and they can buy them. So social media marketing really boosts sales, and we're taking advantage of it, and just thought we would let you know that we were making big strides in that area. So let's turn to our remaining topic for today, how absorption rate impacts the real estate market and property values. And we talk from time to time about absorption rate. And so it's time to talk about it again because it definitely has an impact. When we think about absorption rate, what we're looking for is we're looking for what the anticipated rate of sales will be for the current inventory based upon what it has been in the past. So you're looking at a relationship between current listings and sold properties. Now, it's not the only thing that influences sales. Other factors come into play. Of course, location in real estate, it's the number one thing. location, location, location. Maybe that's 3 things.
That's 3 things, yeah.
But the time of year impacts it. If you're trying to sell a ski property, typically easier to sell during the ski season because more people are skiing and can walk through them. Counterpart is homes during the summer months when families are moving in order to get their kids into the next school year. So it's just prime times that absorption rate can be impacted, and different price ranges as well. So to have kind of a working concept here, the absorption rate tells us how long it should take for the current inventory of properties to sell in our marketplace. And we look at a couple things here. We look at, we identify comparable solds. That's what you always do when we're looking at new listings, certainly. We calculate the rate of sales, and then we calculate the absorption rate. And so let me give you a little bit of a working example here. Let's say that last year there were 12 sales in a given neighborhood or in a condominium property, what have you. And that, of course, mathematically works out to 1 sale a month. So we might say that that's the rate of sales, and if there are 9 properties on the market currently, then we could anticipate that it would take about 9 months for the current inventory of properties to sell. That's assuming that there's no new properties added and none of the existing ones come off the market for reasons other than selling.
Mm-hmm.
So it just gives us an idea of timing of selling. What you do is you combine that with your desired length of time, how long you want to take to sell your property, which can vary for each person depending upon their reasons for selling. And you integrate those same elements, the rate of sales, the absorption rate, and how quickly you want to sell your property. So, Doug, what would you say? Is this a general rule of thumb as to how to set your price?
Absolutely. Set your price based on your desired length of time on the market after adjusting for the absorption rate.
All right.
Absolutely.
So, we're not ignoring values, but we're looking at how the market has acted in the past to determine what is the right price for a property. Now, to also help you with this, I've recorded a webinar entitled How to Price Your Property to Sell in Today's Market. Talk a bit more about the absorption rate and other elements that are important. If you're thinking of selling your property, or even you're just curious about the market and how your home or your condominium might fare with that, you might want to check that out. Just go to our website, go to BuyParkCity.com/selling, and you'll see that webinar waiting for you to watch. So do check that out. When it comes to absorption rate, there are some myths that we want to talk about, and Doug, I'll let you kind of take the first one.
So one of the myths and warnings is believing that the absorption rate does guarantee a sale. As we said, there are other factors that impact that: price, condition, time of the year, market changes that all impact the sale as well.
And then focusing in on a single listing or a single sale to represent the entire market is a problem that you can do very easily. And it's a natural one to understand. A seller looks at their marketplace and says, gee, the property down the street sold for this price, therefore I ought to be able to get it. And it may be true, you ought to be able to get it, but one sale doesn't make an entire market move. You really want to see 2 or 3 or 4 to show the real patterns in the marketplace. It's happened more than once that somebody from out of town comes to Park City, falls in love with Park City, they don't really know the market, and they buy an overpriced listing. And that seller is really, really happy, but everyone else looks at it and thinks that they can do it, and they can't always do it. And so our warning or our myth is don't focus on a single listing or single sale, thinks that represents the whole marketplace. It often doesn't.
Of course, unique property characteristics affect sales. Every property is different. You have different ages, different locations. Views are always a very big one. So each property is different with pros and cons.
All right. So tying all that into absorption rate is a mathematical figure. It's based upon reality, but doesn't guarantee a sale. There are rare scenarios out there that are individual sales that you can't always transfer into a market condition, and unique characteristics of every property come into play. With that in mind, we want to point out perhaps the obvious that we are moving into the primary home selling season. Resorts are closed. Primary season tends to run about May through August, which means properties come on the market anytime from April onward. Of course, we're in April now. And that means if you're considering selling your property, there are two things you'll want to know in order to make good decisions about the process. Number one, you want to find out about properties for sale in your neighborhood and condominium. If you live in Park City, you might walk the neighborhood and see some signs. We'll show you in a moment another way to find that information out. Then you want to find out how much properties have sold for in your neighborhood. Again, realizing every property is different, but you want to feel for your neighborhood or your condominium project to know what's going on, to get a sense of what your value may be. Easiest way to do that, go to BuyParkCity.com, our primary website, and request recent sales data. I just want to show you how to do that. Pop it up real quick. Here we've got our website, BuyParkCity.com, and if you want to request, well, if you want to know what's happening in your neighborhood, go to this search by subdivision. You click on that, and that will take you to this page, and we'll get out of the way here, make this a little easier for you. Search by subdivisions, and you scroll down and you see some of the major areas and subdivisions. Let's just say yours is in Pine Brook, as an example. You click on that. That's going to take you to the Pine Brook page. And below this, there's a lot of information about Pine Brook properties and homes, condos and lots, active listings. But right under the word Pine Brook, it says request recent sales data. Click on that. This window pops up. It's already checked. Email me sold data on recent sales in the neighborhood. Go down to this box, type in Pine Brook or your condo project or whatever you're trying to find out about. Put your name in there. Click on submit. Right there, and we'll get that information. We'll send it off to you. It's just that easy. So really easy to get information to know what has sold in your neighborhood, and that's what we recommend that you do. The other thing is you may want to actually have an evaluation done as to what your property is worth. On any page of our website, this button here, free home valuation, click on that. Again, a quick little window pops up. It's already checked for a free property value assessment. If you want recommendations on repairs, click on that as well. Fill that out, hit submit. We'll contact you and provide you with the information you want. No cost or obligation, just good information. So with that in mind, if you have any questions,
Feel free to contact us anytime. Ron at thewilsteinteam.com, or of course myself, Doug, at thewilsteinteam.com. If you'd like us to give you a call, just include the best phone number to reach you at the end of the preferred time, and we will contact you.
All right, so with that in mind, pop back up here to say goodbye. Thank you for joining us for this webinar, and we wish you a wonderful summer in Park City.
Indeed. Thank you.
Bye-bye.